Coming to you live from a little grass shack in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, it's the Junior Kekuewa Jr. Show, starring Junior Kekuewa Jr.
Come on, man, let's do this. Come on, hurry up.
Join Junior along with the Wayne Borje Band as he makes any kind from Hawaii.
I want this guy fired.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Junior Kekuewa Jr.
Hawaii. Mahalo. Thank you. Hey, I say welcome to the podcast. I'm Junior Kekuewa Jr. And we'd like to say the attitude of gratitude first, right? So attitude of gratitude, thank you very much, and welcome to the podcast. Wherever you are listening to this, thank you very much. Now, today we're getting on with our subject. And the subject today is like reminiscing, because I was reminiscing, lately, right? And I've had this illustrious careers, like a lot of them. And you could call them part-time jobs, because that's all I'm willing to do is like a lot of part-time jobs. And let me explain. Okay, so in life, you have like these things that you want to do, right? And most people don't do it, okay? Most people don't do it. I'm just stupid enough to try. That's all. I'm stupid enough to just go, you know what? I wanna try this one, that one, and that one, and then I want to do them all at the same time, okay? And this was, basically how I set myself up in life, okay? Now, I don't recommend this for everybody, okay? Living your dreams is not like the thing, most people will do, okay? And it's not because necessarily they don't have the guts. It's because they kind of get into situations, okay? Now, one of these situations, and I have clients, so life coaching clients. This, by the way, is a law of attraction life coaching podcast kind of thingy, kind of sort of. Well, we mix it with stories, like real life stories from my life and things that I've encountered, because that's my only experience. So that's all I can offer. But here's something that I can tell you. So I had to make a decision in life, right? My uncle was telling me, like, okay, you got to make this decision. You got to decide what you're going to do. You're going to do this or you're going to do that. And I'm like, well, why can't I do this and that? And he goes, well, because you got to put your focus. You got to apply your focus. And I said, well, I have ADHD. So, like, I can apply my focus in different areas, right? And so my uncle was like, wow, okay. So, he was like, whatever. At some point, I think he just gave up, right? But as someone with ADHD, and the H is the hyper part, right? So I'm hyper everything, like hyper everything. You go down the list, right? And so my thoughts and my focus kind of fanned out like that, and right now I actually have someone that I'm helping that is where I used to be. He's a young person and he has ADHD, and I'm here to help. See, and I understand. You see, with someone with ADHD, you have to feed their interest. Okay, so that's the secret. You have to feed their interest. Now, sometimes there is limited interest. Sometimes there's no interest, and that's the tough part. So, with my uncle, he was like, okay, look, we're going to sit down, and so I have two uncles that are uncles, and then a lot of calabash uncles, right? And so my younger uncle was my first mentor. My older uncle, yeah, he was kind of, I don't know, he was a little different. I want to say he's a little different, but he made me. He's the one who made me create a list. All right, make a list of everything you can do, right? And so, and this is like a weird story, okay? So, I made a list of everything. He goes, okay, what can you do? I said, well, I can play guitar. He goes, do you have a guitar? And I'm like, no. He goes, okay, cross it off the list. So I cross it off the list. Now he made this, he made me make this long list of everything I can do. I could play guitar, I could play ukulele, I could, do this, I could do that, I could dance hula, I could, all this stuff, right? And I made the list. And so he said, all right, do you have a ukulele? I go, no. He go, all right, cross that off. Okay. Now we got all the way down to piano. Okay, now here's the back end. My mom on Thanksgiving Day, right? And this was back when I was 16. On Thanksgiving Day, she bought me a piano. Okay. And it was on a condition. Now, my mother is very conditional, right? So it's like, all right, if I buy this piano for you, are you going to take lessons? Right? And me with my ADHD brain, right? Like, I know already, right? Like, when I said, yes, Mom, right? I knew already. It was like, well, I don't think so. In the back of my head, right? Okay. And I'm honest. I'm being honest with you guys because we go through these things. People with ADHD go through these things, okay? And you really want to, you really want to, try, but then you don't have the attention span because of the H, the hyper part. It jumps tracks. Okay, my brain jumps tracks. Like right now, I'm trying to focus and tell you the story, right? And sometimes we go all the way out on the left to the left, and then I got to bring them back. And sometimes I forget a bunch of details in the middle. You see what I'm saying? So bear with me, Hawaii. So this was before Thanksgiving. It got delivered on Thanksgiving Day when I was 16. So it was actually my birthday present. My birthday is in October. Nobody knows when my birthday is because I don't put it on Facebook or social media. And the reason why is because I don't want everybody going, oh, happy birthday. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that kind of attention. And I'm not the guy to go post like when I'm in the hospital, like sometimes I'll post the ER pictures in my stories, just lying in the ER with asthma or whatever. But anyway, I'm not that kind of sympathy seeking kind of attention kind of, we use the term, it was called attention whore. I don't like to use those kind of words because kids listen. Okay. But anyway, I'll just mention that. But anyway, so, right, my birthday and my mom, and they had this container sale. It was Baldwin pianos. And so we went down to go take a look, and my mom goes, she made that condition, right? She made that agreement with me. And I was like, yeah, when I knew in the back of my head, right? Because the back of my head was going like, what are we doing tomorrow? What are we doing tonight? What are we going to, my brain just jumps tracks all the time, okay? That's just how it is. And I've learned to accept that, right? Because, I've got stuff in my head, Hawaiians, right, that keeps me entertained for hours. So it's not a problem for me. It's something that I enjoy. It's something that, give me a cup of coffee and I can sit in a corner of a room and be totally entertained, okay? So anyway, getting back to the piano story, right? So my mom's, I said, yeah, yes, Mom, I'll take lessons and whatever. So now my mom buys the piano. It's delivered on Thanksgiving Day. My dad and everybody's watching football, the Thanksgiving game, whatever. Okay, I don't have the attention span to watch football, to follow football, because it's a long game. Right? It's a long game. So I never focused on football, right? I was forced to play football in the park, okay? And that's another story always. That's another podcast, okay? But that was Victor Jr. and rallying everybody up to go play football in the park when it was actually a setup, and I had to face him on the line. But that's like I said, that's another podcast. So anyway, So the piano comes, right? And I start fiddling with the piano, okay? So pretty soon I can fake it, meaning that I can sing songs and chord in the background, okay? That's all I could do. Chord. I couldn't play bass with my left hand. I could just chord. And there's certain things that I could get my right hand to do, and the rest was hopeless, okay? So when I say I played the piano, I don't want you to get the idea like I was playing the piano like a piano player, okay? And I don't life coach like a life coach life coaches, and I don't teach voice like a voice teacher teaches voice, and I don't do radio like these other guys do radio, okay? When I did radio, so I have my own original way of approaching life, and that's me. And like I tell my clients, if people don't like you for you, they're not yours. They're not your friends. They're not for you, okay? There will be people that will love you for you, okay? Because I got some friends, Hawaiians. I got some friends that are screwed up, okay? I got some friends that you could put different labels on, right? But they're my friends, and I love them. Okay, it doesn't matter if they screwed up or not. Okay, and I think we all have those kinds of friends. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? You like them because they're them, or you like them because they make you laugh, or you like them because they're there for you, or you like them because they listen to you. Whatever it is, okay. But anyway, so this piano thingy happened. So now, fast forward, okay? This was 16, the piano happened, okay? So 16, 17, 18, 19, the years just keep going, and I'm faking it through the, I'm faking it through the years. That's a song, right? Through the years, you old timers, there's a couple of you listening. And so, anyway, so I'm faking it, right? And I'm getting better at faking it. Okay, now my uncle is sitting down and I'm in my early 20s, okay? And he's sitting down and he's making me make a list of everything I can do. And one of the things I could do was play piano. So I told him, I can play piano. And he goes, you can play piano? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, do you have a piano? I said, no. He said, do you know where there's a piano that you can go play? And now we're talking about, making money, right? Like, So I was like, yeah, okay. I actually know this place, right? It was Gino's on Kapiolani. Now this is an old school place. It's not there anymore. It's gone. And I don't think piano bars exist anymore. But back in the day, they were all over the place, right? So I go, yeah, this is this place, Gino on Kapiolani. And so ADHD me, right? With all the confidence of everything, right? Because I was too stupid not to have confidence. I believed in myself, okay? And for better, for worse, right? And a lot of times it was worse, I'm going to be honest. A lot of times it's like, bro, this guy cannot do what he said he can do. I mean, that kind of stuff, right? Like, no, I can. Give me a chance. I'll go do them. And I would just like ad-lib, right? And in the middle, I would be like, Lord, please help me. Please guide me. Please don't let me down on this one now. Help me figure this out. And I would just go to the steps. Boom, 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 right? And that's why I tell you guys, you don't need to know how. Okay, the how is God's job. Okay, now just because maybe Freddie can get from A to Z, okay, his way, and maybe Mikey, right, he goes from A to Z his way, right, and you can go your way, okay, from A to Z. You can figure it out. You're a human being. Come on, right? So anyway, I go down and I ask the manager, like, can I audition to play piano? And they don't have a piano player at the time, so the timing lined up pretty good. And he goes, yeah, sure, yeah, just come down Friday night, play for the crowd, whatever. We give you a couple hours. So I went down, right, and I'm playing for tips. Okay, I went home, and this is the early '80s we're talking about, and I went home with like $80 in tips, right? And I was horrible. I was not what you would call a piano player, but I could sing. So the singing and the, it was like a magic show. It was like a magic show because I was playing and I was singing, and the singing covered for the playing that really wasn't there. You know what I mean? And here I am, and I'm, and I'm, I can't smile without you. I'm doing Barry Manilow. I'm doing like all this stuff, right? And then so anyway, right? The guy is happy. The manager is happy. He goes, yeah. You can be our Friday night guy. And I was the Friday night guy for a couple months. I think it was 2 months. And then I think they found a real guy. they found a real piano player. But this was one of my experiences in life. Okay, now the reason I'm telling you, okay, Junior, why are you telling us this story? I'm telling you this story, okay, because when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, okay? There was this poster on this music teacher's wall, okay, and she's our neighbor. She's still alive. God bless her, Auntie Rini. I call her Auntie Rini now. In school, we called her Mrs. Thrones, okay? And there was this poster on her wall, and I'll never forget this. It said, when life gives you lemons, and there's a bunch of lemons on. So it was yellow. It was kind of like, my ADHD brain went, whoa, what is that? And it was colorful, right? And it said, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Not too many people are willing to make lemonade. They think it's too hard, okay? But they do get lemons, Okay, God gives you lemons. Okay, God gives you a lot of lemons. In fact, if you're a human being, right? Okay, so God gives you all these lemons. In other words, abilities. Okay, so you can apply it to whatever. Okay, but generally it's what we're attracted to, right? We're attracted to this. We want to do this. We do that. Some people are attracted to things that make money. Okay. I wasn't really attracted to things that made money, but the things that I was attracted to actually made money if you knew the right people. And sometimes those people were gangsters. So, I mean, so, and it didn't really work out the way, I thought it would, right? And because, not every gangster liked me, right? Because they was like, I don't think we can use him. But what was really funny, right, was the way that God moved everything around for me. Okay, so, and this is why I tell you, the how is God's job. Okay, so now I see this poster when I was in high school, and I never forgot it, right? When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Okay, so I could play a few songs. In fact, I could do a whole set, right? I could do a set of songs and just be barely good enough to get by, right? And the second hour, I repeated the set, but I mixed it up. So it sounded, and nobody's keeping track. The manager is busy, the bartender was busy, like everybody's busy. And but the people were having a good time. I was telling jokes in the middle. Like, I don't know, I wasn't really telling jokes, but I was just being funny. I was entertaining people, right? I was being entertaining. And I didn't know anything about comedy. I wasn't trying to do stand-up comedy. I'm not a stand-up comedy person, although I have done stand-up. That's a different animal, a very, very different animal. And I admire people that do stand-up, But anyway, so what I'm saying is when God gives you abilities to do things, right? And if you're a human being, you have the ability to do anything, okay? It's just about like what you want to apply yourself to. What do you want to do? Well, what have you always dreamed of? Okay, so most people abandon their dreams because it seems like, oh, well, no, I got to make money, so I cannot do that, right? Okay, you know what? So here's the thing, right? Deep in my heart of hearts when I was a kid, right? I knew that okay, I could do this, I could sing, I could, do that. When I was young, okay, I'll tell you, my attitude, right? I wanted to take on the world, right? And I was telling my mom, I was calling out Donny Osmond on TV because Donny Osmond was performing. I was like, Mom, I can do that. And my mom goes, don't be silly, right? So everything was don't be silly, right? Saying, no, Mom, for real, I can take him out. I can take this guy. And my mom, but I couldn't take the guy, right? Donny Osmond was good. I mean, he was good, okay? I wasn't like that, but I was ready to take him on, right? I had that kind of confidence, okay? And I gotta tell you guys, the secret is to just believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing and take the baby steps. That's all you gotta do. God will do the rest. God, I swear, God will do the rest, okay? But you gotta be brave enough to take the steps, okay? And let me tell you what brave involves, okay? At one point, because I was working, for a radio station for $5 an hour, okay? This was back in the day, and there was only a can of Vienna sausage in the ice box with a bottle of ice water, okay? That kind of thing. Now, if you cannot go through that stage, and I'm not saying you have to suffer, okay? And the only reason I was suffering, if you want to say it that way, because I know what it is to be hungry, okay? I slept on a sidewalk. I lived on the street for, 2.5 months, something like that, a couple months. And so I know what it is to go hungry, okay? And that's why I never waste food. Okay, you will never see me waste food. I'll give it away, whatever. But I don't like to throw away food, okay? And that's just me. And when I was a kid, I was trained the same way. My auntie always said, hey, finish everything on your plate. And so that I had to do. You know what I mean? But that's the way we were taught, because food was precious. Okay, and then I found out later in life when I was sleeping on the sidewalk that, yeah, food is precious. Okay, but getting back to the you can do anything kind of thing, okay, that I'm talking about. All you got to do is apply yourself. But if you cannot go through the rough stages, if you don't see the rough stages as temporary, then you're gonna have a hard time. But I knew it was temporary. I knew it because I knew like, okay, no, you're going to do this entertainment thing. Okay. And when I was 17, I was hanging out with some pretty heavy celebrities. Okay. Some really big guys. And I got to see behind the curtain, the magician's curtain. Okay. And what I saw, like, didn't really jive with my core values. Okay. And my core values was kind of like, okay, if you want to do this, then you're going to have to sacrifice your core values, And that was a big thing for me. And for a while, I kind of disappeared. I kind of disappeared after a while. After about 4 years, I'm like, okay, no. And I kind of disappeared. And I'm good at that. I mean, I'm good at being by myself. I can be by myself like forever. That's not a problem for me. I'm an only child. It was easy. I've had the practice. I've lived it, so that's no problem for me. But here's the thing, Hawaiian. Sometimes when you look at something on the surface, you don't know what's behind everything, right? And now, look at today in government, right? We're seeing what's behind the curtain. The curtain is lifting. People are actually breaking down the walls. And they're going, look at these guys. Look at what they're doing. Look, all of this, right? Okay, so, and this is not a politics podcast, but what I'm trying to tell you is that you came to the planet or to the realm, however you believe, whatever you believe, okay? You came into this world fully equipped, okay, with infinite knowledge, okay? Infinite knowledge. Education is very different from infinite knowledge. Okay, now infinite knowledge, you have things that your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather knew. It's in your genetics, okay? Now, here's the thing about here's a life coaching pot. Get your pens, get your paper, okay? Get your pen. Sorry, that's the way we talk in Hawaii. If you're in Minnesota right now, very cold, and listening to the podcast, I'm sorry. We have people from Minnesota. Love you guys, man. Okay, so anyway, get your pen and paper. Okay, here we go. All right, so doubt and fear, okay, keep that knowledge from coming out. Okay, doubt and fear keep you all bundled up inside. Okay, really, really tight. Okay, I don't know if you've ever seen a golf ball without the skin. It's just a bunch of rubber bands, like wound up real tight. Okay, now if you can imagine that naked golf ball. Just follow me. I have ADHD. Okay, follow me. If you can imagine that naked golf ball, I know I'm gonna catch fly. I'm gonna get the DMs. Naked golf ball, Uncle. But anyway, if you can imagine that naked golf ball unraveling slowly, okay, that's what it's like. Okay, because slowly your life path begins to unfold. Slowly. Your abilities, your natural abilities come forward. But your natural abilities, and write this down, your natural ability cannot come forward, cannot come out if you're not relaxed and confident inside. Okay, I hope you wrote that down. Okay, if you have doubt or fear, that means worry. You're worrying like, oh, what's gonna happen tomorrow? Yeah, I know that the Iran is there. I know that it's the last one that you see what I'm saying, right? I know all this stuff, right? I know Russia has, nuclear capabilities and everybody's armed to the teeth and everybody's pointing, rockets at each other and whatever. Am I worried about a nuclear war? Hell no. If we're going, Hawaiians. Nothing we can do. Boom, we're gone. Okay? Oh, you like that? Yeah, there you go. Hano, there you go. Gone. Okay? We're gone. Okay? And so don't worry. Don't worry. And if we go, we are coming back because energy cannot be destroyed. Okay, we've already proved that in science. Okay, you can't destroy energy. It'll go somewhere else. It'll come back in some other form, but you can't destroy it. And at the very, very interior part of the atom, okay, in all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, okay, is energy in the atoms. So when you die, yeah, you're gonna leave this body behind. I'm gonna leave this body behind one day. I'm not too happy about it. Okay, I'm not too happy. I'm not too happy that I gotta leave my guitar behind. I'm not too happy that I gotta leave chicks behind. I'm not too happy that I gotta, I'm not too happy about that. But I have realized that this is a learning experience, that we live this way one time. That's it. That's all we get, right? We live one time this way. And so that's why, getting back to the multiple, multiple things that I've done. So I want to do this, and then I want to do that, and that, and that, and I want to do them all simultaneously. And so these were the thoughts that I had when I was young, when I was a little kid. And little kid, I mean like 12, okay? Like 12, between 9 and 12, I was thinking about all this stuff, right? Like, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to, my friends was like, oh, I like being fireman. Oh, I like being policeman. I like being, and I was like, well, I have ADHD, right? So I was like, well, I like being everything. I want to sample. I want to go into Baskin and Robbins, and I want to try all 31 flavors, right? You see what I'm saying? And my dad took me into Baskin and Robbins one time, and I think we were in San Jose, California, right? And he said, look, there's 31 flavors. Which one do you want to try? And I said, vanilla. And he said, no, there's 31 flavors here, right? Which one you want? And I said, vanilla. I love vanilla ice cream. And it's true. I loved vanilla. And so that was my trip to Baskin and Robbins. It was vanilla at the time. Okay, at the time, right? But what I'm saying, Hawaiians, is as I got older, right, I go, oh, I want to do that and do that. And then I saw something that I thought was crazy. I saw like, people doing like one thing, right? And I would observe, and they would do this one thing, and they would do it for, I don't know, till they were 65 or whatever, 70 or whatever. And then they would retire. They would get a retirement party, right? And they would give them like a gold watch in the old days or whatever, and a mahalo party, right? And then they would go on a couple of cruises, and then you would go, hey, what happened to Mr. Takahashi? Well, oh, he died. He passed away. Oh, he passed away. Yeah, it was sad. And I was like, wow, like he just retired. You see? And I thought to myself, this is crazy. Like, you have one life. Right? And you're not going to sample the 31 flavors. You're just going to stick to vanilla, right? So pretty soon that idea, like I outgrew that idea of like, okay, this is my favorite. I'm going to stick with this, right? And then I thought like, wow, and this is just my thought process, ADHD, okay? Jumping tracks, okay? If you can look at it that way. So my brain just jumps tracks. And I thought, wow, okay, if I can do like a little bit of everything, by the time I die, I will have a full life. Like when I'm lying on my deathbed, I can go look online and search my name. In fact, I do it every once in a while. And I do it to remind myself that the next thing is possible. Because this will work for you too. Okay, if you have done the college, if you have done the high school, you have the diploma, you have the pictures, you have the memories, you have all of that, right? Okay, go look at what you've done, because that is a good indication of what you will do in the future, because it's you, okay? Write that down, okay? A lot of people are like fearful, okay? I work with a lot of top-notch professionals, okay? I call them high-powered individuals because they are. Okay, and what I always tell them is go look from today back, and go look at everything you did, and go look at all of those accomplishments. Now take that, okay, from the very beginning, from graduation in college, okay, till right now, and take that section. Now put it in front of you, because that's what the future is going to bring you. Okay, because you did not get here, okay, from goofing off. You did not get here from living for the weekend, okay? You know the people that live for the week. There's not. No, look, I'm not judging those people. There's nothing wrong in living for the weekend, okay? But if you want to be a top-notch professional, you can't live for the weekend. Okay, so you 17-year-olds, I see you guys on the stats. You 17-year-olds that are listening right now, okay, just hear Uncle when I say that if you're living for the weekend, if you're looking at your calendar and going, oh, it's hump day and Thursday and oh, it's Friday, the weekend's here. Okay, if you're one of those guys, okay, that's fine. No judgment, okay? No judgment. Enjoy your weekends. Enjoy your weekends, okay? Because that's what you're going to be about. You're going to be about enjoying your weekends and working for the man from Monday to Friday or whoever, right? Okay, and you could have your own business and live for the weekend. You could do that. But a high-powered professional cannot. They cannot. You cannot be a high-powered professional, and I'm talking about like top-notch attorneys, top-notch dentists, top-notch medical people, doctors and surgeons and stuff. You think surgeons can live for the weekend? No, they don't. They don't. They have weekends, right? But they don't live for the weekend. They don't watch the clock and the calendar and go, oh yeah, it's Friday. Yeah, no, they don't. They go, okay, how many surgeries do I have this week? How many cases do I, who do I have to see this week? Whatever, all of that. Okay, so that's where you have to kind of, get your priorities set. Okay. Now, when you're trying to find your purpose, okay. Now this podcast, we put a little bit of everything inside. Okay, but when you're trying to find your purpose, just get a pen. Go get a legal pad. Legal pads are my favorite. I don't know, maybe because they're yellow. I think maybe because they're long and I can write more on top, right? But I've been using legal pads for my affirmations since 2008. And just go on there, right, on a legal pad and start writing. Now, there's this thing called automatic writing. And people will say that, oh, this is witchcraft or voodoo or whatever. Okay, I'm here to tell you it's subconscious. Okay, there is only the conscious, the subconscious, and superconscious. Okay, now the superconscious is the collective. Okay, of all subconsciouses. Okay, we are smaller individual energies of a greater energy. Okay, that's how I look at it. Okay, now however you look at it, whatever you believe, a belief is a thought you keep thinking. Okay. But when you get old and it finally kicks in and you finally go, oh, this is who we are. And it's too late for you to do stuff. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Don't go there. Don't go there. Get the head start now. Okay. Do it now. Whatever it is. You want to go climb Mount Everest? Go do it now. Find a way to get there. Okay, then find the people that you need to find to take you up there, the Sherpas, right? Find your Sherpa and go up the mountain. Go now, okay? Whatever it is you want to do, okay? You want to learn to surf? Go find that surf instructor. Go find somebody to teach you. Go hop on that board. Go do your thing, okay? Because you can. Okay, and this is at the root of everything. I mean, at the root of everything, Hawaiians. You can, okay, no matter what it is, but you have to be interested. Now, there's some people that say, well, I'm not coordinated. I can't swing the tennis racket. You can learn to be coordinated. Some people tell me, I cannot sing. I'm like, really? I took so many challenges like that for free. I take them for free. There's this girl that came to me, very extremely talented, and her mom always telling me, I can't sing, but my daughter, she's talented, and I'm like, no, your daughter's interested in singing, So I said, I'll teach you. Watch, I'll prove it to you, and I proved it to her. And one of her reviews is on my Google, 5-star review. Okay, because I taught her, number 1, to believe in herself, number 2, to believe she can sing. Okay, now a belief is a thought you keep thinking. Okay, write it, speak it, live it. Okay, so if you write it down, okay, it goes into your subconscious, okay, little by little, okay, but it has to be your dominant thought. It has to be something you think about all the time, something that you focus on all the time. Okay, and then it goes into your subconscious. Now your subconscious takes you in baby steps to your goal. Okay, so if it is, I am confident, you keep writing, I am confident till you're blue in the face. Okay, and then your subconscious pretty soon goes, oh, I'm confident. Okay, now I was too stupid to know about confident, not confident, whatever. I was too stupid for that when I was young. I had ADHD. I could not tune into stuff. I could not focus. Okay, but I thought I was Superman. In fact, one of my friends, she's not really a friend because it's a her, and men and women cannot be friends. They can only be friendly. Okay, but one of these women that I'm friendly with calls me Superman because she sees what I do. Right? She sees all the stuff that I try and all the, she watches me fall on my face. She watches me, succeed here or there or whatever. Sometimes I fail. Sometimes I, make, no make. That's what we say in Hawaii in the old days. Make, no make. It's that simple. Sometimes you do it and sometimes you fail. But failure is a component of success. Okay, so you can do anything you want to do, okay, but you have to put your mind to it. You have to put your heart to it. You have to write it down. You have to think it. The subconscious takes you in baby steps towards the goal. Okay, now if you're too lazy, this is not for you. Okay, now let's talk about paradigms, because people are under the impression that they have one paradigm that they need to change. Okay, no, you don't. You have tons of paradigms. You're a human being. You're capable of so much. Okay, they're building supercomputers better than you right now. Okay, they are. But right now, at this very moment, okay, you're number 2. Okay, because they have supercomputers that are better than you. Okay, sorry, I just had to break it to you, but there are supercomputers better than us that can think better than us, okay, faster than us, okay? But here's the thing, right? We can do things that supercomputers can't do, okay? So we have our paradigm for our wife, our husband, our boyfriend, girlfriend, our kids, our boss, our friends, our best friends, the very best friend, the bestie, right? So in the old days, they called them tapes. Sometimes they refer to them as masks. You got a mask for this, you got a mask for him, you got a mask for her, and you put on this mask, and then you put on this mask, and then you're going to school for the teacher, and you put on this mask, and then you're going home, and you got this mask for mom, and then you got this one for dad, and these are all paradigms. Okay, so your paradigms are based on what you believe. Your paradigms are your little habits and your actions. Okay. And you know how when you see somebody you haven't seen for 10 years, you go right back into those actions that you did the last time you left off. And what do people say? They go, wow, so and so, like me and him, we just click and we see each other and you leg down. Yeah, hunt a hole one more time. There you go. Whoo, ouch. Anyway, so I'm just kidding. I'm just it's just me doing radio. So anyway, right now. You put on these different, or use these different paradigms, or put on these different masks, however you want to say it, okay? It's not a personality, okay? Although there are, you could say it's similar, but it's not a personality. It's a paradigm. It's these little habits, these little things you do with mom that you don't do with dad. For whatever reason, maybe like cracks, I don't know, but and there's things that you do with your best friend, or these little habits that you have with your friends that you're not gonna do with your parents, or whatever. Okay, I'm trying to blaze through this as fast as I can, but you have multiple paradigms. Okay, you're more complex than one paradigm. So in order to So here's the question, right? The question is, okay, Uncle, what's the solution? Okay, I'm glad you asked. Okay, you see how ADHD works, right? It's beautiful. I can sit in the corner and just entertain myself all day long. So here's the solution. When you work on yourself, okay, when you use your voice in such a way, and I do this with tons of people every week, and it works on every single one of them. When you use your voice in such a way that it begins to calm you, okay, because it starts to release hormones, oxytocin, endorphins, it starts to lower cortisol levels, it starts to do all this stuff, okay? I'm not going to bore you with the scientifics, but once you start doing this, okay, now that's the vocalization, okay? Then there's meditation, then there's affirmations, okay? And so you have to do that too. Then there's visualization, you have to do that too. But when you do these 4 things, these are the 4 pillars. Now, when you do this, you begin to calm. You begin to calm, guess what happens? It's that naked golf ball unraveling, okay? It's all those rubber bands wound too tight, starting to loosen. And pretty soon they open up. And pretty soon they're just a pile of rubber bands on the floor. They're no longer tight. They're no longer wound too tight. They're no longer, compressed, as they say. In golf, they say, well, what kind of compression ball is that? Oh, that's on 72 compression. Oh, okay. You see what I'm saying? Right? This is a law of attraction comedy podcast, right? Okay, there you go. Now, the law of attraction is not voodoo and witchcraft and all this stuff. Okay? If you're listening to church people tell you this stuff, just smile at them and go, okay. It's your subconscious. It's that simple. There is only subconscious, conscious, and superconscious. Now, superconscious can be labeled God, okay? It's consciousness, okay? Or the energy that's bigger than us. Or the energy, you could say it this way, the energy that helps our energy. Now, whatever impression you make on that energy is what you get back. Okay, so if you're happy, okay, you're going to get good things back. If you have a bad attitude, if you're negative, you're going to get bad things back. Not just from that big energy that's in between everything, right? But also from individuals. Okay, do this. Stand in front of a Starbucks and look grouchy and see how many people come up and say hi to you, okay? Then try standing in Starbucks, outside of Starbucks, any Starbucks. I used to do it. I used to do it just because I love people. And stand outside and just hold your cup of coffee and smile at people as they pass you by, and watch how many people smile back and how many people say hi, or how many people say good morning, or how many people are cheerful to you, okay? It works like that. Okay, so because God made you in God's image, right? When you're looking at somebody else, you're looking at God. You look in the mirror, you're looking at God, okay? God is bigger than organized religion will tell you. God is in every living thing, and every living thing works in sync with each other, okay? Now, it might not work in the kind of sync that you're used to. It's not like, everything will cooperate with you. It's not like that kind of sync, okay? But it's much bigger than this podcast to explain, okay? But I will tell you this. If you keep making good impressions on that greater energy, whether you call it higher self, whether you call it Jesus Christ, whether you call it Muhammad, whether you call it, okay, peace be upon him, whether you call it Buddha, whether you call whatever you call it, okay, if you call it Krishna, the Christ, okay, whatever you call it, if you call it, just put that label there on the superconscious, okay, because there are only those 3 things, okay? So people ask me all the time, they go, Uncle, do you believe in God? Oh, 1,000%, guaranteed. Because when I was sleeping on the sidewalk, right, you would think like I would be mad at God or something. I hear people say, there's no God because I had to go through this and whatever. And I'm like, wow, I never blamed God for any of my problems ever. But I prayed to God to get me out. I did. And slowly it happened. Okay, and this is the subconscious. And this is why prayer works. Because you're praying, you're asking. And when you ask, ye shall receive. Okay, go look in Mark in the Bible if you wanna. I have it. I don't know. It's Mark 11 something. I'm not a quote person, so I cannot quote things like that at random. I don't go memorizing scripture. I don't memorize verses. I don't memorize like that. Okay, that's just not me. I'm not saying it's not good, or I'm not demonizing it or anything like that. Okay, I read Bible. I read this morning in Isaiah. I was reading Isaiah this morning, and I also did 15 minutes of meditation this morning. Okay, so meditation is listening to God, and praying is speaking to God. Okay, and gratitude is a part of everything. So a gratitude practice is very, very important. Okay, but as I was sleeping on the sidewalk, every night I prayed. I wasn't really praying for safety. I felt safe. It was cool. I thought it was an adventure. I looked at it like an adventure. And here's another thing I want to add. Okay, so just write this down. This is another thing to write down. And I'm in real time right now, and I can't remember who said this, but I think it was Zig Ziglar who said this. Don't quote me. Don't quote that part, okay? Because I'm not sure. I've read and listened and watched so many things since 2008. But I believe it was him that said that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, okay? It's perspective. Now, when you change your perspective, okay, or you change the way you look at things, then pretty soon you start having a better attitude. Pretty soon you start seeing things as a blessing instead of a curse. Pretty soon you start seeing things very, very differently, and that affects your life, Hawaiians. That will affect you in ways that you have no idea. You have no idea. I mean, really, and I had to go through this. I had to experience these things, and I had to experience these things because it was the only way for me to get out of situations, for me to get into situations, and one day I'll have to tell the story about how I almost just really closed the book on myself several times, actually. Maybe we'll do a podcast on that. How Junior almost closed the book on his life several times. Maybe we can do that podcast. Okay. But this podcast is so that you can know, and you can know in your heart of hearts, that whatever it is you want to do, whatever it is you want to be, okay, you can do, you can be, you can have. And the part I was getting to that I didn't mention yet, when I started mentioning that I wanted to do like all of these things when I was a kid, when I was like 12, between 9 and 12, right? I wanted to do all these things. And then I didn't know how, right? That's God's job. I did not know it was God's job until 2008. Okay, in 1999, that's when I started getting popular. That's when the doors started opening and everything started popping and whatever that stuff. Okay, but and it was popularity, not fame. Okay, because don't get it twisted, Hawaiians. Okay, I was just a little popular. That's all, just small kind. Okay, but here's the thing, right? It was my opportunity to illustrate that, hey, look, you can do it too. If I can, you can. And I remember the guys at the radio station, right, getting really upset at me. Well, one guy got kind of upset at me, and he goes, "Brah, this is for you. What are you doing bringing those other guys?" Like, because I used to put one of my boys on my radio commercial. In fact, several of them, right? And I was bringing them along for the ride, bringing them along for the journey. One of them even gave me attitude for a little while, okay? But he's like my son. I mean, till today, he's like a son to me, right? Like me and him, like this. Okay, I'm crossing my fingers, like this. Okay, like that. But yeah, and my boys love me. And I love my boys, okay? All of my boys. I have plenty of boys, okay? And see, the thing is, right, I wanted to bring them with me. Life is not about you and just you and just doing things for you and then climbing the ladder and kicking the ladder out from under you. No. You got to stop looking at life like that if that's the way you look at it. Okay? Life is about how many people you can bring on the journey. So, hey, boys, look, I went crack the code. Come in. Come inside. Let's go. Let's do this. Right? Because when I was on the outside, I knew how it felt. When I was on the outside trying to get in, trying to like, okay, how do you do this show business thing? How do you do this thing? Right? Okay. So as soon as the door started opening, I was bringing the boys with me. I was like, hey, come on, let's go. Sam, Pono, come on, let's go, let's do this. Darren, you know, what all these guys, Brandon. Oh, sorry, I gotta go home. But yeah, was Brandon, was Pono, was Sam, the list goes on. So please remember, right? Whatever you do, okay? Whatever you do, bring people with you. Hey, I want to say mahalo to Voice Master Enterprises Family of Service Companies, also AFM Hawaii Music with Darren Chinen's music. Check them out. It's on the web. Until next time, I'm Junior Kekuewa Jr. saying mahalo and